sound of the Abeng announces our arrival in New Nanny Town. Now, Nanny Town is named after Jamaica's only female heroine and was initially built around 1700, renamed 1720 and destroyed in 1734. From those ashes emerged New Nanny Town in 1739. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson and I'll be taking you on a tour of the community and people who called Nanny Granny. But first, we get an update on recent developments in the news.
So everybody make we sign the line, celebration again, independent time.
Come catch the Independence 2015 fever and join in the competitions. There's the Best Decorated Office and Window competition for business and office owners. Best Decorated Town competition for parish councils, Best Spirit of Independence competition for media houses, and Best Diaspora celebrations for the Jamaican Massive living abroad. So what are you waiting for? Make we celebrate! To enter, simply submit 6 photographs of your project by July 31 to jcdc.festival2015@gmail.com. The competitions run from July 15 to August 15. For more information, call JCDC at 926-5726-9 or email library@jcdc.gov.jm. Independence 2015, proud and free Jamaica 53.
A 53 year since we get free pop.
Good day, I'm Stacey Ann Smith and this is your GIS News for Wednesday, July 29. The World Bank Board of Directors has approved a $6.8 million grant to help Jamaica better manage climate risks. The grant will fund the first of 3 investment projects on the government's Strategic Program for Climate Resilience, SPCR. This project is also part of the World Bank Group's Country Partnership Strategy for Jamaica. The main objectives include increasing the satisfaction of private and public sector users of climate data and information services. It also intends to promote the active use of climate data and information for the management of the health sector and help more people to better cope with the risks of climate change. The grant will be disbursed over 4.5 to 5 years with no repayments or commitment fees required. The Jamaica Customs Agency, JCA, confiscated over $250 million worth of counterfeit goods at the island's ports of entry between January 2014 and April 2015. Commissioner of Customs and JCA Chief Executive Officer retired Major Richard Rees says the items included footwear, bottles of perfume, fragrances, handbags, clothing, cigarettes and pharmaceuticals. Major Rees says some of the products were intended for the local market while others were destined for other countries. They were intercepted following intelligence and joint interagency operations, which involved local and overseas law enforcement entities.
The Jamaica Customs Agency aims to be more proactive in its approach to eliminating or reducing illegal activities, which threaten the stability and economy of the country, and also to increase revenue collection.
He was speaking at the opening ceremony for the JCA's 5-day intellectual property rights training seminar for 28 customs officers. It was held at Newport East in Kingston on Monday.
Jamaica continues to train officers in targeting techniques, smuggling trends, and trademarks internally and via seminars such as this.
The seminar is being staged in collaboration with the World Customs Organization and runs from July 27 to 31 under the theme Combating Counterfeiting and Piracy. Head of the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, Terence Williams, has called on upstanding law enforcement officers to collaborate with the agency in bringing corrupt members forward.
INDECOM is the partner of the good policeman, the good soldier, the good correctional officer, not their adversary. The inform for dead culture is a curtain behind which criminals may hide. Similarly, the squaddy culture may operate for bad policemen, bad soldiers, and bad correctional officers to misuse their strong and proud fraternity to conceal improper conduct. The good officers must not, by their silence or by the uttering of falsehood, permit this to happen.
Mr. Williams was speaking on Monday as he was sworn for another 5-year term as INDECOM Commissioner. The attorney at law was first appointed in 2010. The Education Ministry is intensifying interventions to address student dropouts and high absenteeism in schools. Portfolio Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites made the disclosure at the recent closing ceremony for a Deans of Discipline training program. He said every student in danger of dropping out or habitually absent would have to be reported to the deans with necessary action pursued by the police.
We are going to have to ask the police to come with us, not to arrest the parent, but rather to use the institution of law in this society to impress upon the importance of regular attendance at school. We have to do that from now on.
The Deans of Discipline were trained in a number of courses, including human trafficking and gangs in schools. The Education Ministry recently announced the revision of codes for the Safety in Schools program, which the deans play an important part in executing. And finally, corporate holiday gift shopping began very early this year when hundreds flocked to the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel for the highly anticipated Christmas in July exhibition. The event was hosted by the Tourism Ministry's Tourism Linkages Hub last weekend. It brought out 80 local producers of authentic craft, gifts and souvenirs, displaying their wares to buyers from corporate Jamaica, the hospitality sector, government entities, embassies, missions and international organizations.
The items on display have gone through rigorous processing and have been assessed by a panel of experts in areas such as design and pricing, aesthetics, functionality, quality, and packaging and labeling.
The event, which highlighted local manufacturers, was also geared at boosting the economy and strengthening the bonds between tourism and other key sectors, such as agriculture, manufacturing, and the creative industries. Christmas in July was a collaborative effort of the Tourism Linkages Hub and its partners, the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, Jamaica Manufacturers Association, Jamaica Business Development Corporation, and the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Stacey Ann Smith. Thank you for watching.
So everybody make we join the line, celebration again, independent time.
Yes, it's Emancipation and Independence time again. Between July 31 to August 6, lots of fun and exciting island-wide celebrations await you. Independence concerts, community church services, festival bandwagons, street dances, and lots more. And guess what? Festival fashion is back. The theme, bandana with denim, catch the fashion rhythm. So for this festival season, young, old, boy, girl, get your bandana and denim outfits and let's celebrate Jamaica in style. For more information, call JCDC at 926-5726-9 or email library@jcdc.gov.jm. Independence 2015, proud and free Jamaica 53.
Since we get free pop style, make the whole world see.
We are fortunate to be at this groundbreaking ceremony for the renovation and expansion of the Morant Bay Health Center. I'm very proud of the Health Ministry that is now making a change to the healthcare and the quality of life of the people of St. Thomas.
We're here to celebrate another positive development for health and another positive development for the parish of St. Thomas. What we are embarking on now is part of our overall strategy of the government to see primary health care as a priority. Presently, we have undertaken 129 health centers, either build or refurbish and expand. We recognize that part of the strategy of primary care must be to ease the pressure on secondary care. We talk about our hospitals, the waiting time, the number of persons going to hospital, the number of persons going to the accident and emergency areas of our hospital. The answer to that is having in place an excellent, robust primary care system. The Morant Bay Health Center which is now seeing 2,700, I think, and 63 patients per month. When we expand, we expect that those numbers will also go up. But persons in license in Johnstown, Dumfries, and further back can literally walk to clinic. That is what we are encouraging. By virtue of the expansion, again, if you are being referred from the hospital to the health center, easy walk. From the health center to the hospital, easy walk. And so I am saying that what we are doing is planned strategic work.
This facility is one of 17 centers that serve the residents of this parish and is also the largest health center in terms of number and services provided. This renovation and expansion project is an example of how we have been assessing our facilities, identifying the weakness and taking necessary steps to address them. We recognize that the Morant Bay Health Center has outgrown its current space, inclusive of the population. So this project will address the problem as well as improve the general layout for our health center. Southeast Regional Health Authority is on a mission to improve all our facilities. One by one, we're trying to transform them into first-class healthcare institutions.
Householders, business people, school administrators, be on the alert. Help control the mosquito population. Destroy breeding sites. Empty old tires and all other containers where water can settle. Bore holes in old cans. Cover water drums and garbage cans. Wash flower pots and vases and clean pet dishes regularly. Protect yourself from mosquito bites. Cover your body as much as possible and use mosquito repellent containing DEET.
This monument, known as Bump Grave, represents the final resting place of Granny Nanny. She's a vital force in our history, queen of the Windward Maroons, freedom fighter, as well as a high priestess of Obi. Although her story continues to mystify us, it equally fascinates. In our next feature, we hear more about this indomitable woman.
Today, Moortown and other communities in the Blue and John Crow Mountains of northeastern Jamaica stand as permanent reminders of the bravery and fortitude of the island's only female national hero, Nanny of the Maroons. Nanny was among a group of brave enslaved men and women who dared to resist their master's rule by running away. These runaway slaves formed communities in the hilly interior of the island and fiercely protected them from the Spanish and later the British. After decades of warfare, the British finally yielded by recognizing the Maroons as an independent people with the signing of a treaty in 1739. The autonomy of the Windward Maroons is largely due to Nanny's tenacity as a revolutionary chiefess. Most of what we know about Maroon leaders, including Nanny, has been passed down through oral history, but that hasn't diluted her prominence in Jamaican folklore. According to stories, Nanny came to Jamaica as a slave from the Ashanti tribe of the Akan region of West Africa. It is said that she, along with her brothers Akompong, Kojo, Johnny, Coffee, and Kwaho, ran away from a St. Thomas plantation, settling in the mountains of Portland. Nanny remained in the Blue Mountains while her brothers branched out into other mountainous regions on the western end of the island. Popularly known as Nannytown, Tony River, as the Maroons called it, was led by Nanny. Nanny's community was well organized, with its members surviving on animals raised and hunted, as well as crops grown and raided from plantations. Security came in the form of the location of the community high in the Blue Mountains, weapons seized in raids, and traditional African weapons of bow, arrows, and spears. Tony River was destroyed in one of the many fights between the Maroons and the British, causing Nanny to move her community deeper into the hills to what is now present-day Moortown. Nanny was not only the political and military leader of her tribe, she also served as spiritual leader. Before Nanny and the Maroon warriors would go off to battle the British, she would prepare them for ambushes, the popular style of Maroon combat. Always looking out for the well-being of her fellow Africans, Granny Nanny rescued slaves from the plantations on the plains. It's often said that after the Maroons signed the treaty with the British, they began to turn back runaway slaves, or even captured them for the British.
Our culture and heritage live through many different forms. The spoken word, recipes that are shared throughout generations, craft and artwork, songs and dances. In Hear This, we look at how New Nannytown is keeping their heritage alive.
86 years of age, born Friday the 1st of February 1929. This is a bean. We call it carcoon. This is the most powerful herbs among the Maroons. I don't know outside, but the Maroons have more too. We use that food. It is used for medicine. I mean, this was what our ancestors used to camouflage, to hide from the British. Because in wrapping up in these bushes, I will sit here, and the white man passing don't know that this is a human being.
Yes.
Yeah, you understand? So that's really great strength we have. And then the abeng. The abeng is to summon our people at far distance, telling them what is happening. While we have this to talk to our people in far parts. The British didn't have any form of communication apart from mouth talk. Well, we use it now in case a person go to the river and drown. We blow it to let the inhabitants know. Understand? The river may take the person at far distance. We search, and when we find the abeng is being blown, and then the people gather to know if the person is dead or alive. You have to say it true. Now we call this packet. We carry our we have a thing we call tinderbox.
Tinderbox?
That is our matches, maroon matches. You understand? I don't. That's it. Yes, it is inside here. Yes, so like this. If you notice.
So what is that you have in here? Charcoal?
Right. So this is our matches in the woods.
And how many people still use this in this community? Almost everybody?
Almost every home. They have their tinderbox.
What else you have in the bag?
You have that you have to find. Yes, you have the steel.
And that is what you use to sharpen what now?
And this is to catch the fire. Let's see if I find my stone.
So what kind of stone is that? Is that flint stone?
Thank you, flint stone.
Okay.
So you strike it. It's a fire catching.
Yes.
Like it this way, and when it catch, and then and this is my rum. Now we the Maroons.
Yes.
supposed to have rum
A bottle of rum. Yes.
at all times.
No matter the size of the rum.
No matter right, because ancestors, the ancestors not supposed to come here and can't get the rum. They're not going to feel pleased.
Okay.
You understand? And I am very proud, more than proud to be a Maroon of Moortown.
Now is the time, the emancipation and independence period, when we are called to listen, taste, and of course sing and dance about the people we came from and celebrate the people we are today.
So everybody make we join the line, celebration again, independent time.
For Independence 2015, the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center is the place to be. From August 1 to 6, the Hope Road location will be transformed into an Independence Village. Come out every day at midday for lots of cultural fun and excitement. Lunch or concerts, cultural discussions, a kiddies village, displays with distinct Jamaican pieces, nightly entertainment, and food can done. For more information, call JCDC at 926-5726-9 or email library at jcdc.gov.jm. Independence 2015, proud and free Jamaica 53.
It is said that this was Granny Nanny's secret plotting ground, where she met with the Maroon fighters, instructed and tend to their wounds. And at this point, we're deep within the Rio Grande Valley, wedged between the Blue and John Crow Mountains. And there's a lot to unravel along these hidden terrains, and you can start your discovery right now.
What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful island we have.
Its culture and nature magically intertwined. One of the reasons that make this World Heritage Site special. Come with us to the Blue and John Crow Mountains. There is much to see, touch, smell, and taste up in these hills.
You can just come in for the day, sit, relax, have your barbecue, go hike on our hiking trails. You can have a tour guide if you so desire to take you on the trail. You can also bring your tent and you can camp overnight. In the Blue Mountain Peak area, you can hike to the Blue Mountain Peak, go to the ice point, come back to Portland Gap where you can rest. The attraction at the peak itself is people hike up in the night, stop at their cabins, right? And then 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll get up out your bed, hike on the trail for another 2 hours to the peak itself to see the sunrise. It is beautiful.
This is where peace is. Talk about getting away from the hustle and bustle of life. This is the place to be. Its cool nature, yes, often cold, particularly in the latter part of the year. But you'll be easily warmed by the best tasting coffee and dance the day away with captivating traditional entertainment. Yes, the Blue and John Crow Mountains has it all. You leave amazed, not believing it all exists in one place, some 4,000 feet above sea level. High up, where it feels like you can touch the clouds, where you can watch birds making their nests, playing among their flock.
How it gets its name, the blue. If you're in Kingston looking in the hills or on the hills, you would see the color blue on the mountain. The John Crow part of it is our ancestors used to hunt wild boar and take it to the other parishes to sell to the different parishes. So what is not sold off, they would leave it. They wouldn't take it back home, and then the John Crow will come down and clean up after they leave.
On the 3rd of July 2015, the Blue and John Crow Mountains was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage Site list. After many years of championing for this cause, the committee fell under the spell of the mountains and gave in. They had no choice. The national park is a true natural treasure. Don't be fooled though. This site is huge, impossible to fully discover in a day, maybe not even in a week. It spans 4 parishes: St. Andrew, Portland, St. Mary, and St. Thomas. Just over 26,000 hectares, and is the preservation zone of the Blue and John Crow Mountains National Park, which itself is just over 48,000 hectares. The Blue and John Crow Mountains is one of 32 World Heritage Sites listed for both cultural and natural heritage. There are over 1,357 flowering plants, with over 25% being endemic. All Jamaica's 30 endemic birds can be found in the area. Dozens of herbal plants to cure almost every ailment.
This is called a headache bush. You can use it as a painkiller. So if you have an headache or a stomach ache, you could boil it. Like a tea, have a 2 or 3 leaves to a cup of water. You remember they used to send telegrams, right? In the early days, this is what they used to use, like the ancestors, the Maroons. They would write on this and send it. If you carve on it, it will stay with that green or dry. And the information, you could use this and send the information like a letter.
And it provides that precious commodity.
The Blue and John Crow Mountain provide 45% of Jamaica drinking water. There are 25 watersheds in the entire Jamaica, and 10 of those watersheds can be found in the Blue and John Crow Mountain National Park.
On the cultural side, the Maroons take center stage. Once a refuge for runaway slaves, it remains home for their descendants. Their way of life is an intriguing history lesson for the unknown. There you may imbibe on authentic foods and dive into the inviting Nanny Falls.
The interesting thing is that so few of us Jamaicans take advantage of the opportunity that we have up here in terms of the relaxation, the climate.
Don't allow foreigners to know this World Heritage Site more than you. Remember, when you go, take only pictures and leave only footprints. For a tour inside the Blue and John Crow Mountains, call the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust 960-2848-9 or 920-8278.
Sad to say, but our adventures have come to an end for today. Tomorrow we have more in store as we rediscover Paul Bogle's journey when Theodore Henry takes you through Sonigot on the way to the Morant Bay Courthouse. I am sure you know by now how to view all our GIS programs and where to go to stay in touch. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Jamaica Magazine. Until next time, Kujile, safe travels.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.